In case you guys did not know, I'm here hanging out in a bunker somewhere in Lake County. Should I even reveal the name of your dope rehearsal space, my dudes?
No.
No, yeah.
It's a
24 Elevator Avenue, Painesville, Ohio. Come on down.
I'll believe it.
We're hiding from the government. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Bob's done some things.
Yeah, killed a man or two.
So let's start with this dope location. How did you guys find this spot? If you don't mind me asking you.
I won it in a poker game. I was on a different planet and was playing a game of Sabak and against Lando Calrissian.
How did we actually find it?
Yeah,
It's been in the family for 3 generations. This is my grandfather's building.
17,000 years ago.
It's been in the family for an eon. My dad ran a lawnmower supply place out the back, and then we kind of took it over, so we're 3rd generation. And they were all like handy, crafty people, and we do things with our hands, things we shouldn't do.
What does that mean?
What?
I forgot there was a camera on.
And so we kind of took it over a couple years ago when our buddy stopped paying rent, and then we were like, hey, this is a really cool practice spot. Why don't we do fucking shows here? Because we could, and we got sick of like pay-to-play gigs.
And the I-beams are made with actual Carnegie steel.
Stamped
Carnegie
steel.
Ooh.
Andrew Carnegie.
Robert Baron Andrew Carnegie.
Had a
Help
hand in-
contribute.
How many years have you guys been in this spot, you think?
Probably about a decade.
Seriously?
Seriously.
Yeah, probably
we're
about
teenagers.
We started practicing in the room. I living in the back, like right after high school, because my dad hated our music and we were terrible musicians at the
We
time.
were awful.
Yeah.
We haven't gotten much better.
Probably not much better.
We can hold a tune.
But
down.
but he just had this empty space that he had like old tractors in, and I'm like, hey, Dad, why don't we just move the band down there, and then you don't have to put up with our shit? And he's like, and surprisingly, I thought he would be like, no. He was like, it's the best idea you ever came up with, son.
Our father was not a supportive man.
No.
Unless it was drinking and smoking and degrading women. He was
So we
very
started
supportive
practicing
of
in the
those.
back, and then when our buddy moved out up front, we took over up front, and we're like, we need a stage and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and then
'cause-
we're like, we have a great-ass venue. Why the fuck are we not putting on shows?
You know, we played a lot of shows out and about around the neighborhood, you know, with Spider-Man and stuff, you know, because he's a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And you go out there, and the thing is, nobody in today's society goes to shows anymore to discover bands because this is the way it is. People sit at home and fucking trash people on social media, and that's about the extent of their day-to-day, like, exercises. Yeah, well, you know, not to trash talk anyone specifically, Bob, but, you know, mainly, you know, teenage white girls and stuff posting semi-nudes and whatnot. And we just,
Kind of girls.
Sensing some frustration here.
there's a lot of sexual frustration in this band. We're all straight, and unfortunately, we have to go gay for each other because that's the only way we could. It's a lot like prison.
Really?
Yeah, we're all part of the Muslim Brotherhood.
Yeah, we had to convert once we got locked up.
It's not gay.
When
if
you when you
do it
when
for
you
Muslims.
once you're in a,
No, it's not gay. The balls don't touch.
once you're in a state or federal penitentiary, then if you don't join a gang, then you become someone's bitch. You have 2 options. So we all joined the Muslim Brotherhood, so we wouldn't be someone's bitch.
went down.
And Muslims are strictly, you know, against homosexuality, so we knew no one were gonna fuck us in the ass. But anyway,
A
so
lot of this gets edited out.
It may not. We'll find out.
but anyways, so
This is to promote our band, not to make us think.
so
that
anyways, our whole thing was we got sick of playing shitty shows to very few people or just our friends and stuff like that. So we're like, we're gonna put on our own free concerts, and that way people actually come and enjoy our live music the way they're supposed to, and they
Right.
can cause a ruckus and not have to worry about the man hassling them.
Yeah, we figured if we were gonna charge our friends $10, we might as well let them in for free.
'Cause
and-
we- yeah,
and
'cause-
have a little mayhem.
And the money we
Right,
were
right.
spending, like traveling, doing shows, and not really making anything, we're like, well, for the cost we're spending going places and playing shows,
Why bother?
why bother? Let's just put on our own shows because they'll be about the same cost.
Yeah, we've
So.
been doing that 5 years, 5.5,
Something like that.
something like that.
Too long.
But you know,
We're
we got
gonna-
a new album coming out. I suppose we should talk about that.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, we should probably plug it. Once again, we're Beach Regime. We used to be the Basics.
We're changing
but
our name.
but we're no longer the Basics.
We
Why
decided
why the name change, man?
because
Go ahead, Steve.
because you know, we spent a lot of time at the beach, and
Okay, just stop. I joined the band like 3 months ago, and I realized that the name
the name was never that great.
It was punny, but it was made by teenagers, and I feel like
What was the original name though?
The Basics.
Yeah.
Except we thought we'd be cool like the Beatles, and we're like, we're gonna throw something musical in there because they were just the Beatles, but it's spelled like beat, like you beat something, like a drum beat. And we're like, when I was like 16, I'm like, this is clever. We like sat down real, probably high on weed, and we're like, we need a band name, and I wrote a big list of names, and we're like, well, these all suck, but this is the best one on the list.
And then I joined the band, 3 months ago?
Something like that.
Something like that. And
Again, we found Bob in a dumpster.
I realized
he was bored.
I realized how bad the name was because if they actually wanted to try to seriously play music, the punny name of it kind of put a damper on the actual musicianship. So I asked if we would be okay with changing the name since we're actually going to start playing shows
Right.
outside of the venue here.
Our next goal is to conquer Lake County, then the entire state of Ohio, then east towards Washington, D.C., and then eventually we're going east. And everyone goes west, we're going east. First, no one will be expecting it.
Don't worry, man.
It's like the invasion.
So like a New
the
York,
invasion of Poland.
like a New York.
Yeah, we're
story
gonna.
tour? Yeah.
We are literally gonna take over the entire.
Dude, I got connections in Philly, Lancaster.
I meant
New York.
actual like military domination. So
we bought a tank.
we
bought a tank.
We have a tank. We're sponsored.
And landing craft.
We're sponsored by Boeing now, so.
Yeah.
747 out front.
No. Actually, we're gonna get some Hornets, some actual jet fighter planes, and the bombs are cost extra. But you know,
Are we gonna like apocalypse deck out the van with the giant metallic snow plow that covers half the front of the engine?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
then chain the doors with barbed wire.
It's gonna look
and
like
shit.
the semi truck from Maximum
After the
Overdrive.
zombie apocalypse, someone's gonna be the band that restarts rock and roll. So we always
have to
figured
There you
it
go.
might as well
There
be
you
us.
go.
It
You got to
might
be
as well us,
prepared.
but,
Fucking Christ.
Yeah, we're working on a new record. It's almost done. We hope to have it out here in the next couple of months. We will.
It's called Sandbox.
We're gonna name drop. JV just name dropped the name.
Sandbox.
Sandbox.
Sandbox by Beast Regime. Sandbox.
Why Sandbox?
Because we all thought it was funny.
We're back to the punny shit again. I'd
I
like to
see.
also say I was not on this record at all.
That's not true.
One song. One song
on the record.
But anyways, that's not to say about it's like anything else. We're list people. It's like when JV tried to get the lead role in Schindler's List. He wrote a list out of things he had to do that day, and he took it to Steven Spielberg and was like, "This is my inspiration," and he wasn't going for it. But
I'm about to quit this band.
anyways,
Next question, please.
we had a lot of names, and that was the one that we just thought was the best. I guess I don't know. We just like the word. It's like anything else. You just like something, you can't explain why.
Just beach regime.
Yeah,
Just
it's-
catches the ears.
You know what?
yeah.
You know what? It rolls off the tongue nicely. If you see it on a poster, it looks cool. Everybody likes the beach. It reminds you of childhood, and we're all autocratic dictators, so we decided we had to be a regime.
Exactly.
Because really, we're all vain motherfuckers. There's no other way of putting it.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't.
The last,
How did you two meet?
We were brothers.
we don't
Oh,
look
really?
anything alike.
We don't look anything alike, but we're brothers.
We are
okay.
we are genetically share very little.
I met him because he came out of my mother's vagina.
That's the only reason we met.
That's
That's
the only
debatable.
reason we met.
That's
any other reason he would have
That's
been like this
debatable.
asshole
Sometimes
over
I think one of us was born in a petri dish. Because we don't. I would assume so. I got all the best features.
here.
Ooh,
That's that van kicking in again.
a little bit of hate there. I'm a dodge that with another question then.
You don't need to dodge the hate. You need to embrace the hate.
When you guys were playing out, did you guys play outside the Cleveland area at all? Like, did you guys travel across the states?
No.
Anywhere? You guys
No.
didn't go on a tour or anything?
No. I mean, we're planning on changing that in the future. But we were young and dumb and
Full of cum.
I'm still. Not much has changed.
You don't know that for a fact.
You know what? It's like
You don't know that.
it's like I tell every band.
You can't prove that.
I tell every band there's no point in. I think like a lot of bands. I literally just had this conversation last week with someone. A lot of bands get this headstrong thing. They're like, we're gonna go tour the countryside and stuff like that. And that's a real great idea. But then literally they go across the country and they lose money on the tour and they play to nobody and it's
Right.
a giant waste of their fucking time.
Right.
And a lot of bands do that. Then a lot of young kids get this crazy idea in their head that that's a good idea and way to promote their band, and then their van breaks down halfway through and all
And they
that
can't
crap.
pay for it because none of them are employed.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a really romantic notion. I'm glad that there are still people out there that want to Woody Guthrie it across the country, and it sounds fun, but in reality, it doesn't work out 99% of the time. So when we were younger, we're like, we're not gonna waste our time doing that shit. So, our whole point is to change that.
That's honestly a pretty realistic way of looking at it, dude. There are a lot of bands now that are still trying to do that shit, or like even if they live in Cali, try to do a Cali tour. It's like, bro, the price of living in California is like 100 times higher than like anywhere else. Like,
Right.
That's still pretty freaking difficult.
That's
dude.
kind of ridiculous for having a
It's-
state that's on fire right now.
Yeah, exactly. And then just like you said, dude, I've been a part of that too. Me myself being in a band, it's like you're just stuck around pay to play. It's
Yeah,
like, hey,
exactly.
here's 50 tickets. Come to us with like $500, or else you guys don't have a set time. Right.
Yeah, and they
right.
don't care because they tell you to sell 50 tickets for $10 a pop. So they take $9, you keep one. So you're lucky if you make $50, and that doesn't even cover your expenses.
Right, and it's like, how are you supposed to build a crowd off of that?
You can't. You
know?
can't because
Exactly.
you're just going around banging your friends.
Exploiting your friends.
Just
Exactly.
exploiting your friends, and then the venue or the promoter exploits your friends further because they're hoping you're gonna bring 50 people in that buy drinks because that's how they really make their money.
Right.
And it's sad because that hasn't changed. Like that's the way it was done 40 years ago. It's still done that way now.
Exactly. Dude, I totally feel that because then people are like, well, how do I build a following? Doing
can't.
the same thing, or doing the same thing that you do, that I do, that a few other people do in like Oakland, hosting your own spot. You know what I mean? If you have it there, at least you have 50 to 70 people coming all the time, and then maybe drag them
Yeah,
to
exactly.
a venue. You know?
Yeah,
but
right,
it's like
exactly.
most people don't just know that.
we-
though,
No,
you know?
no. It was all about like building up. We figured like.
Yeah.
Like,
you wanna
yeah,
hand
like,
it.
Take the micro. If you're gonna
Yeah,
talk,
the-
JV,
the-
take
We
the
figured
microphone from Bob.
like nobody comes up by themselves. Basically, like
Right.
you have to bring a scene up.
Seriously, yeah.
You have to bring a scene
Yeah,
up. Like
that's
if
how
you look
Sublime
back
was
through
doing it.
history, it was like
Right.
L.A. in the '60s or like grunge rock in the '90s.
Right,
It was
right.
just like all these bunch of bands that like knew each other and like coordinated well. And we're like,
right.
like you can't do that through pay to play because everybody's there. They bring their like girlfriends and their moms and stuff.
Right,
and
right.
even if they like your band,
They don't want to
they're
drive
never-
across
they're
the city.
They're
Yeah.
never coming to another show.
Right.
They'll never.
Right.
Best you can do is put a CD in their hand.
I totally feel that.
That's the best
Yep.
you can do. But like when you're like, hey, my buddy Jesse's in this band, and my buddy Joel's in this band, like it's really easy to book shows like at independent venues because there's not a lot of them
Exactly.
that are like legitimate.
Right,
that, like like the Foundry kind of places, Mayhalls and stuff like that. Like, but it's really easy if you're like, hey, me and my buddies, 2 other bands, we're coming down Wednesday night. We're gonna bring 50 people, and they're like, fuck all. Yeah, this is great for you guys.
Right. And then they're like, well, how'd you guys do it? And then nobody, for whatever reason, wants to say that. It's like, well, the past 3 months, we've had people playing in so-and-so's garage, so-and-so's back deck, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So-and-so's
right.
basement. And then I think the biggest thing, too, dude, because I was telling other people about this, it's like you have to work together as a fucking team.
Yeah, as a team,
Because
right.
if you sit there and just try to solo Top Gun that shit, it's just not going to happen.
You're gonna
dude.
hit a brick wall unless you know
Yeah.
somebody.
And
Like
I've
unless
noticed-
you're just
right.
like a studio creation. You're the Backstreet Boys.
Right.
And you're just
yeah.
like got money behind you.
Right.
You're never
right,
going anywhere.
Right.
Half of playing professional music is, you actually have to have a good product. You have to have a brand, and then the other half of it is networking. You got to know
Exactly.
people, man.
Right.
And you can't do it by yourself unless you're Justin Bieber. And I don't plan on being Justin Bieber anytime soon. So
I think the Cleveland area, dude, has a big issue. Maybe it's all music, like, communities, because when I was living in Cincy, same thing happened. There were just, like, cliques of different pockets, but it was like if you guys all work together as a one big team, it would actually work. It's like, okay, yeah, we know we have, like, the metalheads over here,
People
punk
don't-
dudes over here, rap dudes over here. It's like, but if you all tried to sponsor one thing, you know.
the problem is people are
hard.
vindictive. They think their shit don't stink, and that's,
Right,
that's the way it
right.
is. And we started playing on shows. We're like, well, we want to promote ourselves, and we want to promote other people's bands, and kind of I guess cross pollinate people's crowds. And
Yeah.
we've met a lot of cool people over the years just because of that fact. And it's one of the joys of playing music is getting to meet cool and interesting
It's
people.
Too high
Right,
school
right.
cliquey around in the music scene, and that's the one thing I liked about this place was like, because we had when we had my buddies from Denver come up, we had like
That was cool,
we
dude.
had-
Screw Tape. Shout out to Screw Tape,
yeah.
bro.
I didn't know if I could name drop or not, but my homies. In
I don't
Screw
think
Tape-
I think you
Yeah, I think we already
Tape.
broke that barrier.
Screw Tape at Screw Tape.
Trump
band-
2020.
Good guys though.
No, Screw Tape Bandcamp. Check it out. But no, like, it's all really high schoolish, and that's what I like about here because at that show we had Hysteria, which was like a weird metal band, and we had Screw Tape, and Who else did we have?
Who else played? Oh, Fresh Bucket played that show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Fresh
Bucket.
Bucket.
That was right.
Fresh Bucket Crew was
They were
there.
coming. They came out of retirement and played that show and played a couple more and then broke up completely. But
Jonah Rigby, I love you. Please
but,
listen to this podcast.
But yeah, no, I guess that was our.
Name dropping.
Hey, we
me sometime, Jonah
We-
Rigby.
we as a unit don't really prescribe to one genre of music, and as far as playing with other bands, I don't want to play with just like a bunch of punk kids or a bunch of metal kids or something like that.
That's why I'm a
Bob
punk
said,
and
it
metal
is-
kid.
It is really clicky, like and as you said, there's a lot of
Right.
people out there like we got our little metal scene over here, and we're playing in Geneva on the lake and blah 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 blah, and everyone doesn't want to hang out with anybody else, and they think they're so fucking cool, and they're not, and that's not the way the world works, and
That stupid elitist
it's the
mentality.
elitist, and then that's why they're playing to the same 50 people every goddamn time, and their band's getting
Right,
nowhere.
right, dude. I totally relate to where you're coming from too, because it's like you hinge on this point of like having your passion become a business. Just like you said, like I also have a van too, but on the side I'm a mechanic and I weld. So it's like unless you have somebody that's always on it, this shit's gonna be very, very difficult. Like
Yeah.
I saw on the Screw Tape like Instagram thing, like that sucked when they were driving back, like their throttle thing like fucked up, and they tied it together with a shoelace. Like that's dope.
Yeah, they're driving
but-
down the fucking
but-
interstate with a goddamn
right,
shoelace.
right. But it's like it's sad though because like that's the reality of like we said, like 98% of the bands. It's like you have to have some sort of solid base, like you said, like whether it's financially or unless you know somebody, even like in the rap community, like Chance the Rapper. I was reading big into like how he became popular. He knew somebody that was running for governor, and he liked what Chance was about and helped sponsor him. So it's like if you really like look at the money trail of the independent artists, it's like either A, they have a lot of money coming in on their own, or B, they have somebody up there definitely funneling that shit down
Yeah,
and just
yeah.
not
Kanye
talking. Yeah.
West,
Yeah, and they're just not talking
Broken
about it.
Code.
See, but
It's
that-
crazy.
That's what I like about again Screw Tape's ethic with the whole thing, because they got their car fixed. Because what they did was, they would spend the whole year working their jobs and saving up all their vacation time,
Right.
and all their money,
Using the brain.
and then when they would go, they would, depending on where they were working or not, they'd either quit or. Some of them were managers at certain places, so they were able to take a month's leave with their vacation time and stuff.
Hell yeah.
So they were able to take that all off and then still have money coming in to be able to help out with any of those problems while still making profits on tour, because it would still walk away at least, breaking even at least or more, so they're not losing much money and they're still getting a good work ethic in their name and their brand out across the country.
I mean,
Oh, what's up?
no, go ahead. So ask what you're gonna ask.
I was going to say, do you guys think that it would be beneficial if people sort of like publicized the fact that, hey, you kind of have to have your life together for this to work?
I think
sort of thing.
I mean, I think
because
I
there
think
are so many people just
I think
going,
there's a
you
lot
know?
of people. I mean, I hate to be a dickhead, but I think there's a lot of people that playing music out there that should probably just give it up. And I don't mean
Right.
to be mean, but a lot of people I see bands and I can tell they're wasting their time because they don't take it seriously.
Right,
And,
right.
And honestly, when you do that, when you have all these bands out there that don't really take the shit seriously,
Yeah.
it makes it harder for the people that are taking it seriously because you're competing with a bunch of people that their future is going to be 20 years down the road playing the open mic tight at their open fucking bar, and they're
Still.
and they're a fucking dad band, and they're playing covers because they get paid $500 to play covers, and that's a waste of time. If I give any advice to bands, it's be picky about what you do. Promote your brand. You have to have a brand. You have to, and number one, the most important thing is to don't play shitty music. Like seriously, if you sit there and you are playing and you listen to your own music and every song sounds the exact same, you are wasting your time and everybody that's listening to your time. That's my opinion. anyways.
Wait. So, how did Nickelback do it?
Because they actually
They
had.
must have known somebody.
They actually did, and they got a shitload of money. Chad Kroger's uncle loaned them a shit ton of money to make their first album.
Goddamn marketing on the post-grunge era.
And you know what? And that's the thing. And you know what? Nickelback conformed to a style that was popular in their moment.
And their formula kind of worked, though.
Yeah,
you
and
know?
they made a shit ton of money, and Chad Kroger lives on a fucking farm in Canada, and that's
Hey,
great
man.
for him. But I don't want
Linkin Park.
I would never, and again, that they took what was popular at the time and they ran with it, and 30 years from now, no one's ever going to look back and think, man, Nickelback is just like immortal. It's great music. No one thinks that. No one thinks that now. And we're not even that far removed from Nickelback, like making music.
Right.
And it's lost in time. Like you do the biggest mistake bands make is being formulaic and not challenging themselves to do something different. It's the number one mistake.
Yeah,
every
Metallica
band.
killed their career with that. Metallica was like great in the 90s. Like,
JV,
people
if
were,
you're
like,
gonna
huge Metallica fans.
and say something, take the mic.
We're gonna get sued. Please stop.
And
You're
now
gonna start a feud-
Metallica like sucks. Now
A bunch of
they're, like,
nobodies, and you're gonna start a feud with Metallica.
I don't care. Lars Ulrich is a tennis playing
Lars
bitch.
Ulrich is probably listening to every podcast in his free time.
Probably.
Like, I hope not, if anybody's trashing us, I'm
Oh
gonna
yeah,
them.
we can't. I'm sorry, Lars. You're a
gonna
great
get-
drummer.
Avery, you're gonna get a
I'm
cease and
sorry.
desist letter
I am.
from
Lars!
Ulrich is a
Lars!
liar.
I am.
Lars, listen. Moment to moment, I love you, buddy. Lars has got that fucking invincible drumstick money that like is the
Yeah,
he's gonna
shitty,
fuck us
shitty
over.
drumsticks that are supposedly like can't break, but
Yeah,
break
I've broken
anyways.
him. Fuck him. Sorry, Lars.
I think it's time for like.
It is bizarre, but it is somewhat still very real because when a lot of these bands, when their career is sort of fizzling out, right? You see them doing kind of stupid shit, like, well, maybe not stupid shit, but you see that they kind of need money. Like I saw recently, System of a Down is playing live shows now in Las Vegas. It was like, okay, I could have swore that they broke up ages ago, but
And,
now they're
you thought they broke up and they were really wealthy when they broke up.
right.
Leftover crack.
I'm gonna tell you right now, that's our plan. I'm hoping like 30 years from now we can be headlining in Vegas and just play shows every night.
No, listen. Leftover crack. Leftover crack is like that, dude. They put out 2 punk records that redefined the crust punk genre at the time of the early 2000s. But holy shit, they dropped a new album and it was hot fucking fire garbage and then went on tour everywhere with it. Played like 2 songs off the album because they knew everything was just a garbage heap.
Yeah.
And pretty much just did it for money because the singer Stiz even admitted in his other band, Star Fucking Hipsters,
Right.
the 3rd album was just made to sell
More records.
Yeah, for money's sake. And then he went to like school and became a lawyer and shit off the money he made off that record. I'm like, you're imposing on like teenagers and kids in their 20s and making shitty music for the sake of profiting for yourself. And then like this new Leftover Crack album had so much hype and like even I was freaking out about it. And then the minute I heard it, I was just like, this is fucking shit.
The thing is, I think about. I remember seeing an interview with Jack Bruce, who's one of my favorite bass players, and Cream's like a favorite band of mine, and he was talking about one time, this was back in the 60s, and he was talking about how he was in a band before then, one of the bands he was in prior to Cream, how he was in a band, they sat around, they talk about their music, and they'd be like, we need to write a song that's sympathetic to a 12-year-old girl in Kansas. And if you're sitting there writing your music with the ideal that it needs to be popular to a 12-year-old girl in Kansas, then you're not a real musician.
Right,
So
you're not doing it for yourself anymore.
you're not doing it for the sake of the music, and you're not doing it
Yeah, you're
to
writing
make something
jingles.
interesting. You might as well be.
Exactly, yeah.
And that's why.
It's
That's
nothing
why.
that you can personally relate to anymore.
No,
you
no.
just end up writing about being on the fucking
Isn't
road. It's
that
like,
why
okay,
half like the songs you write are about suicide?
What's that?
Isn't that why like half the songs you write are about suicide?
I've dabbled in the suicidal
or
arts.
like prostitution.
I like if you ask me about my influences, I like more morose topics to happy music. Like I don't.
Me too.
Like even like you listen to one of our songs like Cleveland Route that's gonna be on the Becoming
just
Rapper,
noticed this
and it's
anti-pop.
and if you listen to when you listen to the song, you're gonna hear a real upbeat punk song, and yeah, there's a mandolin, the breakdown, and it's just kind of funny. But the whole point is like when you really I'm hoping people sit there and they do what I did when I got into music is they sit there with their copy of the record and we're gonna do just vinyl because I see that's another mistake bands make. They make CDs and no one fucking listens to CDs anymore. We're gonna do digital and vinyl only. And you sit there with the vinyl copy and all the lyrics are printed out and you read the lyrics and you hear the
You're like, damn.
and you read the lyrics and you're like and the song's kind of is real upbeat and you're kind of feeling good about it and it gets you real motivated. And then you read the lyrics and it's all about how horrible your town is and about how everyone's on junk and all this crap and like you're falling through and doing drugs and every weekend sucks and like but the melody is so happy that you forget about how awful life is
Exactly.
at the same time.
See, I
like
did
that.
that shit with Walt, man. I remember we were listening to Nightbringers, the new Black Dahlia Murder album. Like, we were sitting there listening to the lyrics, and we're like, dude, holy fuck, this song's about being trapped in a dungeon and getting eaten by a giant fucking spider. This song's about a cannibal who keeps body parts in jars. Like,
You listen to songs like
Is it like a concept album? I kind of like those.
well, no, the Trevor from the Black Dahlia Murder likes to write all of his songs from the perspective of like a horror movie itself. Like, each song
okay.
could be like its own horror
But I
movie.
mean,
Okay,
like
I
you
got
listen to songs like what is it?
Ritual, though, their album was
Like-
based on
like-
the concept of rituals.
You think of like the Rolling Stones, like the song Brown Sugar. Like
Yeah.
it's a real happy song. And you're thinking Brown
Yeah.
Sugar, and you're like, oh man, Mick Jagger's just singing about having sex with a black girl. But then you read the lyrics, he's
Right.
all talking about having sex with a slave. Because like the opening
Right.
verse
Right.
of the thing's all about going down to the slave market in New Orleans and buying a woman and then like taking her home and banging her. Like it's really morose stuff, but that
Right.
was a huge hit. And my favorite kinds of songs have always
Right.
been like dark themes to happy things. That's why
Right.
like you listen to like the Velvet Underground's first record. It's amazing because
Right.
it's like, you know, you listen to a song like I'm Waiting for the Man, like it's got a happy beat to it and stuff like that. It's a real upbeat song, but it's all about just standing on the street corner trying to score some junk and waiting around for a guy, because anybody that's ever about drugs knows that the first thing you learn is that you always got to wait. And that's what Lou Reed said, and
This
it's
is
true.
This is the worst comparison I will ever make in my life because I fucking hate Sublime. But Date Rape by Sublime, it's a real happy, up-tempo ska
That's
song.
a good
and
example,
and
dude.
it's about a girl getting drugged and raped, but and then
like,
getting her
people think it's catchy
revenge.
as fuck.
And at the end, the dude going out after him and like fucking him up.
No, because he was in jail and he
But,
gets
yeah.
fucked
Gets
by
what he
by a
deserves.
cop.
Exactly.
Yeah, but
It's
it's
crazy.
it's a fucked up
It
song,
makes
but
you think about.
Yeah,
some
the
stuff.
other what is it? April 26, 1992.
Yeah, weren't those
yeah,
the riots?
The whole
it's
riot.
literally about
Yeah.
a riot.
Yeah, the Rodney
and, like,
King riots.
Like breaking
Right.
a liquor store and like
Right.
stealing a bunch of liquor and shit like that. Like it's literally like the most depressing thing ever. It's about like riots.
Right.
White people, man, they like to make you think too
you know,
much.
you ever
You're
listen
trying to just smoke
you,
pot.
You ever listen to like the soundtrack to Superfly by Curtis Mayfield? It's one of the funkiest, most awesome records from the 70s, but it's you listen to the themes of it, it's all black exploitation. It's all about pimps like prostituting women and drug dealers pushing drugs on like poor black folk and stuff like that. But Curtis Mayfield plays it so funky and he sings with that falsetto and you're like, man, this is so fucking good. But
Right.
he's talking about social issues that
even-
affected everybody.
Even
back
going
then.
back further, like Frank Sinatra, like I did it my way. Like it's a song about like doing it your own way and like.
Fuck everybody else.
And fuck everybody else, but you don't come out on top.
And
he
really-
just did it his way.
Really, at the end of the
Like
day,
it's a really depressing song, but it sounds great as shit.
At the end of the day, like, you know, that's one of the biggest troubles with popular music now is, you know, if a song is going to be about a sad subject, it sounds like it's supposed to be sad. Like, it's like, as Bob said, it's like leftover grunge from the 90s. Like, people are still trying to do that like 25 years after the fact. And why would you do that? And then, you know, like, why, like, as soon as you hear that heavy guitar, you're like, wow, this guy's going to sing a song about how sad his life is and how bad he wants to kill himself. Because as soon as the song starts and you hear those heavily distorted guitars and everything, you're like, wow, you're just not even putting in any effort anymore.
I would like to put an asterisk on that statement in parentheses and put Mudhoney is the only exception, because I swear to God, Mudhoney's the only grunge band that still fucking plays not shitty grunge music.
Are they happy?
No, but like
I don't know. If you listen to a song like "Touch Me, I'm Sick," it's real upbeat. It's just the song. It's got a basic 4-chord progression. Like it's in a major key. It has the music like schematics for what a pop song should be, but it's so heavily distorted. And then you know, Mark Arm just going "Touch Me, I'm Sick," like just being real deep and everything. And the subject matter that you don't think about the fact it's poppy. And the same thing with bands like Nirvana. That's why Nirvana was so.
The Chili Peppers did that for years, man.
That's why Nirvana was so popular.
Scar Tissue's depressing as fuck. Under a Bridge is about shooting up heroin under a bridge. But it
there's a
sounds
choir in the
uplifting as
background.
shit.
okay, but the Red Hot Chili Peppers suck. I will fight either of you on this.
Hey, you're just trashing every band. We're gonna have every
We
major.
have beef with everybody,
We're
man.
gonna have like every major band from the last like 25 years.
well,
come
we're
in and write
trashing bands.
beat
Can I
us
just
up.
say I fucking hate Green Day? They had like one good album.
Are we trying to do
Okay,
an
wait.
Blur thing over here?
Will Ferrell is a really good drummer, though. I think he's the only good part of Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Chad
Oh,
Smith
God.
did it.
Chad Smith does look like
See what
Will
you did
Ferrell.
there. See what you did there. I think a big part of it too, just like we were saying before, comes down to like marketing. Like when I was going to Lakeland, I was taking
Well, not to interview the interviewer, but what happened there? Would they kick you out?
Oh no, I dropped out. I got 2 professors fired because they weren't doing their jobs. Like
Good for you.
Yeah, I had 2 petitions signed.
Two
and I had
two
their asses
professors
fired.
not professing.
Yeah, because like they lost their fucking final exam, dude. How the hell do you lose over 300 papers?
They were probably high.
My dog ate it.
Yeah. This dude apparently painted basements inside. And I was like, what? That's your job? He's yeah. I'm like, wow. Okay.
How did he get a job being a professor?
Exactly. And then you start to
Huff
look
and paint, become a genius.
Well, that's kind of true, though, because it's like then you start to reverse engineer a whole bunch of stuff. I'm like, wait a minute. If that's all you truly need, well, what actually do you need to be a college professor? And in some cases, you don't even need a PhD. You just need a teaching license, which is how you get so many sketchy ass, like even, for example, like substitutes, right?
Yeah.
Doing weird shit. Or like